Alrighty, today I'm going to be going over how to tie my daddy bugger. I start with this fire hole hook and this bead and Danville's 140 denier thread in fluorescent fire orange. That didn't show up well, whatever. So I've got the bead on the hook and I've got my thread started. The next thing we're going to do is take 25 thousandths lead-free wire, and we're going to double the end over to fill in the back side of our bead here. And just take a couple of wraps to get it where we need it to be. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And 20 wraps might seem like a lot, and that's because it is. But this fly has a lot of resistance, and crawdads resistance to sinking, and crawdads live down at the bottom. So we need a heavy fly. You can also fish this on spinning gear. Next thing we need is copper crystal flash. We need 2 strands of that. We're going to lay that over the midpoint over the top of the hook. Not exactly the midpoint, just close enough. Then we're going to take the butt ends, fold those forward, and tie it all into the start of the hook bend. Next thing we're going to need is rusty brown ice dub. And we're just going to take a good little pinch of this and make a little dubbing ball at our head at the crystal flash. This is going to help us flare our claws, but it's not the main thing that will cause our claws to flare. Next we need crawdad orange rabbit strips. These are from Hairline. I'm going to measure the leather to a full hook in length and cut it off. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Do the same for on the for the second claw. So those will be my claws. We're going to start with the far side. I'm just going to butt that into the lead wire. Take one loose root wrap to trap it down and a few more to keep it from going anywhere. Then we're going to do the same on the near side. And just take a second, make sure that's not going anywhere. So now we're going to take posting wraps on these. And this is what's going to turn it on, flare them out. And it's also going to turn our leather to face down and show the fish predominantly the hair. Like such as. Then same on the other side. It can be a little tricky, just keep at it until you get it doing what you need it to do. Next, I like to rib this with mono. I believe this is 2 or 3x would be tippet. It's 8 or 10 pound mono. Doesn't really matter. We're going to tie this, and off screen I melted the end with a lighter to get that little knob. Come on, focus camera. You can see that little knob I melted on there. That's going to help keep it from pulling out. You can use wire if you like. I used to prefer wire. I've actually found the mono to be more durable. I'm going to cut off about a foot of that because mono is cheap and I'd rather have too much than not enough because I can always cut off what I don't use. Next thing, I'm going to make a pretty good sized dubbing loop. Now's when I'm really going to stabilize that wire. So I'm going to come back with my same dubbing as before. And I want, crayfish are bulky little things, so I want a pretty good amount of dubbing on this. So I've just gone ahead and lined that up, fill the dubbing loop. And I want it to be, the dubbing to be thicker toward the bend of the hook and thinner towards the end to get some taper in it, like the naturals. And hold it up towards the end of the hook while you spin it, so that you don't trap all your rabbit hair. Oop. Try not to throw it like I just did. Yeah, you see how it's thicker up here than it is down here? That's what you want. Oop, bumped the camera. And dropped my dubbing loop. Man, I'm just not doing well today, am I? Oh well, I'm still gonna post it. Whatever. Tighten up my wraps again. Bump the camera again. And just nice touching wraps. You see how that gave me that nice little taper. And I've got bare thread right at the bead, so it's a nice slender tie-in point. Take some excessive thread wraps here. You really don't want that dubbing loop pulling out, and this is going to bounce bottom. Last thing I'm going to do, I forgot to do it a second ago, is I'm going to put a drop of super glue right here to help hold those claws out and keep them splayed. Now we need our last material. So I'm just going to pick me out a good one. That one's not very good. That one looks pretty good. And you're going to prep this just like you would for any other woolly bugger. I like to keep some of the fluffy stuff on there. I think it moves better for the collar. So, feather is prepped. So we're going to start with cross wrap so it's attached perpendicular to the hook. Fold that back. And now we're going to really crank on it and make sure that's not going to pull out. It's also going to give us a landing pad for those first couple of wraps. This time we're going to remember to use our bobbin cradle. And we're going to make two full wraps up at the collar. And then we're going to open spiral the rest of the way down. Trap it down, and then you're going to make little counterclockwise circles while you go through. This is going to keep you from trapping down all that schlappen. You'd also use grizzly hackle that's been dyed. I think the schlappen gives more movement. And just kind of tease those fibers in. into place. So once you get that in, you can drop your thread off the bobbin cradle, get your bobbin cradle out of the way. Take a couple of loose wraps, and I'm going to do my first one whip finish, just to kind of hold everything temporarily while I get the rest of this figured out. Doesn't have to be our full whip finish, just a couple to get it tied in. And now I'm going to snip a little long. Ow. And then just melt a little knob onto that. Just get all that tagged in real nice and tight. Make a nice little collar on the fly. Try to build everything up evenly as you can. And then uncord your thread. And we're going to be making multiple whip finishes. Because again, this is going to be bouncing off rocks in the bottom and everything else. And we don't want our fly to come untied after we spent all this time making it. I don't usually bother with head cement. Those couple of extra whip finishes usually seem to be enough. And now we're just going to do our trimming. So we're going to cut out our hackle tip. And then, to the length of the claws, we're going to trim all of our copper crystal flash. And then pick it out a little bit, get them unstuck from each other a little bit. And then if there's two that aren't quite doing what you want them to, you're going to cut those off at half length. And that's it. That's our finished fly. And then these all slick way back when you get it wet. And yeah, fish like it.